Disclaimer, the following video is a video about calendars. The video is intended purely for entertainment. Research for the video was rushed, and so information presented may not be totally accurate. It's pretty close, but please don't reference this video for a history project or something. Links to sources are in the description below. Enjoy!
I'm standing outside the small town of Calendar in central Scotland to talk to you about calendars, specifically this calendar. This is the Gregorian Calendar. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It has 12 pages, each one representing a month of the year, and on each page is a grid of boxes which are numbered and labelled to help us know how the days and the weeks line up with the months and the dates. But the question I want to ask is, why this specific arrangement? Why this specific calendar? Well, to find that out, we have to take a look back at the history of the calendar.
Hi, I'm Gregor Scott, and for as long as humans have had history, we've had ways of giving rhythm to the passage of time, whether tracking the path of the sun, or the patterns of the moon, or the passing of the seasons. However, to trace the history of our modern calendar, we have to go back to the dawn of ancient Rome. The first Roman calendar is credited to Romulus, the first king of Rome, who was said to have created it in a true Roman fashion, meaning he took heavy inspiration from the ancient Greeks. This calendar was only around 300 days long and spread over 10 months, so it didn't take long at all for its inaccuracies to become apparent, and for a second Roman calendar, dubbed the Republican calendar, to be created. In fact, its creation is credited to the second king of Rome, the direct heir to Romulus, and that king's name was Numa Pompilius. Numa Pompilius made up for his predecessor's inaccuracies by adding 2 new months to the start of the year, called Januarius and Februarius. Looks familiar. This brought the total number of months in a year up to 12, and the total number of days in a year up to 255, which is more accurate than the first version of the calendar, but still not accurate enough. Fortunately, the Romans were aware of this discrepancy, and so the Roman Republican calendar had a system by which a leap month could be introduced every few years to make up for the lost days. This month was called Mercedonius, and it sounds like a good system, but it had a major problem. The biggest issue with this system was the fact that the decision over whether or not to call Mercedonius was left up to the highest priest of the Roman religious college, the Pontifex Maximus. And if the Pontifex Maximus wanted to, say, extend his term as the Pontifex Maximus, all he had to do was call Mercedonius during his term. In other words, Mercedonius became more of a political tool than it was a tool for keeping the calendar accurate. So to solve this, in AD 45, under the direction of an Alexandrian astronomer called Sisigines, a new Roman calendar was introduced by none other than the Pontifex Maximus at the time, and soon to be the first emperor of Rome, Julius Caesar.
The Julian calendar is the true ancestor of our modern calendar. It was the first to change from being based on the cycles of the moon to the orbit of the sun, meaning it was 365 days long. Sisigines even understood that this number wasn't exact. By his estimation, the year was roughly 6 hours longer than a full day, and so to account for this, the Julian calendar was actually the first calendar to incorporate the concept of a leap year every 4 years. It was an excellent system, but it wasn't perfect.
The Julian calendar is set to drift for 16 centuries. This is what happens to its accuracy.
The year is 1582, and the Roman Catholic Church is a centuries-old religious institution, reporting to the emergency room with a severe case of Trudent calendar. Trudent meaning drifting, calendar meaning calendar. The Julian calendar has seemingly become out of sync to the point where major events such as Easter and the equinox are happening approximately 2 weeks ahead of their expected dates. Clearly something is wrong, and so work immediately begins on diagnosing the problem. Astronomers believe the issue has something to do with the Julian calendar, suggesting that in particular the calendar's reckoning of the length of a year could be inaccurate, and so a more precise observation of the period of Earth's orbit is undertaken. Sure enough, it's discovered that the previously reckoned length of the year, 365 days and 6 hours, is around 11 minutes too long, which may seem insignificant, but over a millennium and a half the inaccuracy has quickly added up. Astronomers calculate that the calendar has drifted roughly 3 days every 400 years, meaning that in the 1600-year run between the calendar's introduction and its diagnosis, The calendars drifted approximately 11 days, meaning that drastic measures must be taken in order to correct. A revised calendar is proposed and presented to Pope Gregory XIII. This new system reduces the length of the year by around 11 minutes, introduces a few extra rules about leap years, and most drastically of all, has the days between October 4th and October 15th, 1582 surgically removed from the calendar. The Pope quickly approves the change and promotes this new calendar across the world as a more accurate replacement for the Julian Calendar. With the Pope's backing, it isn't long until this new Gregorian calendar is introduced across the Catholic world, eventually going on to become the most predominantly used calendar worldwide, continuing to see use to this day where we are now.
And so with that, the Gregorian calendar was widely adopted. And now, over 500 years later, we continue to benefit from its accuracy. So, what does the town of Calendar have to do with the Gregorian calendar? I don't know. I just thought it was funny. All right, I think that's good. We'll call it there.
Do you press it on?
Yeah, press it.